ready to let go. Let me tell you, friend, believe me when I say I know. It always feels like we're punching in. Well, I'm glad you stopped by. The fun is about to begin. You paid good money at the door. Get ready for a real good show. If you want to have a real good time with me tonight, you gotta move like crazy, dancing in the pale moonlight. We can all get down, spin inside out. I'm telling you, if you really want to groove, you gotta make a move.
Kirk, we've made our moves back to Lincoln. We're at the Capital Cigar.
And it's kind of like deja vu, isn't it? Haven't we been at this table before doing something like this?
We have, and I'm happy to be here again to have my mini vacation.
Yes.
And yeah, so also, you know, whenever we go on the road, we always have little glitches and things, and somebody forgets to bring mic stands.
Yeah, just hypothetically speaking, of
You know.
course, you know, that can happen. People might forget such a thing.
But I'm so ecstatic to be alive because on our way down here, a semi flew something off a truck and shattered my front windshield.
Ooh, it stopped short of coming through and getting him. I was ready to reach for the wheel.
It was totally center mass on me. I would have been dead. So I'm like, nothing can get me down because I'm breathing. So
New lease on life.
I know, right? So who do we got here with us today?
We got
Kirk?
Ricky Simmons today.
Awesome.
Hey, how you all doing today?
Yeah.
And then we've got the filmmakers. It's WMK, is that correct?
Correct. My name's Murphy.
Walt W in the WMK. It's Murphy. The M.
WMKmedia.com.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So, Ricky, I mean, Husker football. You know, you're 1983 Husker legend, and then tell us a little bit about that, and then how did you meet these guys, and how did this project all begin and start?
Well, that's a pretty interesting question. Actually, playing for Nebraska did allow me to have a platform, so I started speaking. And once I started speaking, you know, I speaking all around the country, and I ended up speaking at a place called the Stevens Center. And it was like a homeless shelter and a treatment center all in one. Mm-hmm. And shortly after that speech, I was contacted by Murphy. And, you know, he invited me to come do a podcast at the Stevens Center.
Yeah.
Which is where he was working at the time.
Okay.
And we did that. It went really well. And I thought I'd probably never hear from him again.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I got a call from him asking me, you know, if he could do something for me. Mm-hmm. So I had a speech at the stadium, and he volunteered to come down and film it.
Okay.
You know, and then after that, we just started talking, and then next thing I know, he was like, "Man, I'm leaving the Stevens Center to start a company." You know, so I was like, "Well, if I can be of any help, let me know." You know, and then next thing I know, he started a company, and then he merged with Walt, and and they became WMK, and he had a need for a business developer.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of took on that role as well.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Fantastic. And so you want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing together and how that came to be, and then we can probably go back in time after that.
Yeah, absolutely. From day one, we knew we wanted to have Ricky be a part of what we were doing at WMK, just based on his influence. Yeah, he's a Husker, and yeah, he knows a lot of people, but when he's in the office with us, we're all happy. We're all upbeat. We all have this look like a new lease on life, because one of his mantras is every day you're blessed to see is another day in paradise. So once I heard his story on that podcast, it touched me. I didn't know the story when I was interviewing him. When I was doing the podcast, I go in raw, right? I just kind of let it flow, and I learned the story, and it touched me. And we thought this is a story that needs to be shared outside of just his motivational speeches. We need everybody to have access to the story called Look Like Somebody. So we've now finished our first ever full feature documentary. And thank you very much. It's, we spent about 2 years on it. We are also a marketing company that does corporate marketing, video production like that to pay the bills. And so the film didn't have to take that long, but as it turns out, the timing was perfect. You know, it's not our plan. There's a higher power up there watching out for us. Some of the interviews that made it didn't happen until 2 months ago. Yeah. And they actually made the movie. They made the film great. So.
Well, speaking of extra footage, too, the time when you volunteered to go and film Rick's speech, we didn't actually know that was going to end up in the movie, but it ended up being one of the driving storylines throughout the film. Yep. So just those little moments where you feel a nudge to go do something could turn into a feature film.
Yeah, that was October 20.
You always got to have the cameras rolling, you know, because you never know what's going to become, you know, important in the future. So
that was October 2019. So the film has, you know, 2.5, 3 years of footage, and we interviewed 25 people. So about 30 hours of footage that we got down to about 60 minutes. Because we want it to move, we want it to interest you, we want you to have more questions when it's done, and we want you to reach out to Rick and get to know him better.
Can you maybe give us a little background with, you know, just you guys personally, like, you know, where you got your start, where he got his start, and how, you know, even you guys just came together?
Yeah, so I had started a company before I met Murphy, and we were mostly focused on corporate marketing, event video, things like that. And Murphy, he ended up moving into the same building where we were leasing out of. Met him. They had a focus on more doing nonprofit work, you know, telling positive stories to impact the community. And it just resonated. It gave purpose to what we were doing with the cameras, and it was just a seamless transition. And, you know, going from shooting on DSLRs to having full cinema cameras, shooting our first feature project on FX9s, and just the whole learning experience that's happened over the 2 years has been amazing. It's been a crazy ride. So
ever since I was young, when my dad threw that first camcorder in my hand, I had a VCR in a bag on a strap that was like 80 pounds, and here I am, 50 pounds. You know, but I just loved it. So all the footage is like this, you know, a little crooked, but I just loved it. I knew that, and the first time I saw something like Forrest Gump, you know, it just touched me. And it's like, I want to fill a room full of people and touch them in some way so that it's an emotional response, whether it's one person or the whole audience. And that always just kind of drove me. Well, I went through a whole bunch of corporate marketing jobs and just tried to find and weasel my way into the video production because I wasn't classically trained. I took some courses, loved it, but I'm more of a self-taught type person. Yeah. So I always had that passion inside of me, and the set of circumstances that led me to become the marketing director at Stevens Center are absolutely remarkable. It's just you look back at life and you say that was a moment where I was being led by my higher power versus, you know what I mean? I was letting life kind of just pull me in this direction, and I was surrendering and letting life get me there. Yeah. The set of circumstances that ended up getting us to that podcast, to where we are today, is just absolutely unbelievable, which just, that's when you know you're doing the right thing. And we know that this is a message that needs to be heard. Yep. It all just lines up and makes sense. So to be a part of it is truly, truly special, and we hope people can feel that when they watch the film.
Yep. And going back to being led by God, higher power, whatever you want to call him, the fact I never picked up a camera until maybe 6 years ago. And the whole point is I've always told people I'm a musician first before anything. I just wanted to create a way for me to fund my music career. And it's slowly spiraled into this thing to where now we have a full feature film. We got to release some unreleased music in the documentary. And it all kind of just came full circle. And it just, when the pieces fit together, it just makes it very obvious that you're in alignment with whatever your purpose is.
Hey, Riley here. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Make a Move podcast. For more content, check us out on all major social media platforms and makeamovepodcast.com. Until next time, get off your butt and make a move.